Bishop Thomas,
How you doing?
thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. This is really an honor.
Oh, I'm glad to be able to do it.
First, let me just say that there's so much I can say about you and as a way of introduction, but I have so many books in my collection. I came across one of your old books, A Spiritual Navigation for the 21st Century.
Oh, yes.
And I just want to read the foreword by the great Dr. Charles Booth. Every so often, we are blessed to meet individuals whose unique relationship with God allows for unusual insight into the scripture and the application to the human predicament. One such person is Dr. Walter S. Thomas, the pastor of the New Psalmist Baptist Church in Baltimore, Maryland. He and his ministry are phenomena of our time. Thank you so much for being a part of my podcast, Journey in Strength. I would like to begin by actually having you talk a little bit about how would you define your faith journey? What has your faith journey been like?
Oh, a journey of discovery. It's been a journey of discovery. If I were to say, it started with, I grew up in a Christian home, a Christian family, a Christian church. And I knew God as God and as there and as loving me, but I knew him as a child does a parent, and I appreciated him as a child does a parent. But as I grew into manhood, I knew him no longer as the little child, but I journeyed with him now as an adult. Let me see if I can explain it this way. I love little children. I love my children when they were little. Oh, I loved it, the stuff we did together. But I really love them now that they're grown. Mm-hmm. There's something about being able to have adult conversation and to engage their minds and to learn from them and to do things with them at this level. I don't have to just go to Disney World or the Chuck E. Cheese. I now can do some different things. And that's what I discovered in God. My journey has brought me from the little kid who sits in the passenger seat riding as God is driving, to the grown man who sits in the car seat, who's carrying on a heavy conversation with the God who's driving. Wow. And growing as a result of it.
Well, that makes me think about all the journey up until now. How has that journey prepared you for this time that we're in, which is the wilderness experience that we don't see an end in sight? As you reflect on this time that we're in right now, what has prepared you to lead your church community in this wilderness experience?
The knowledge of history. The faith journey tells us about all of the things people of faith have had to go through. Understanding history tells us of the ebbs and flows of life and of the journeys of life. What we study in school as a data point, a point in time, is often marked by years that precede it and years that go forth after it. The French Revolution wasn't just a day. It was years built up and years coming after it. You have Louis the 16th and you have Napoleon Bonaparte. So what history has taught me is that there are seasons that are not short-lived. They are short-lived in the long sweep of time, but they are not short-lived as you go through it. The children of Israel were struggling to get to the promised land for 40 years. Yeah. They were in in Babylonian captivity for 70. The Jews struggled under the weight of Nazi Germany for 10. African American people or African people had to wait 200 plus years before they could add the word American to their names. So though that awareness has made me aware that our time for that kind of journey has come. Do I like it? Do I appreciate it? Do I shout over it? No.
Yep.
But do I recognize that this is the moment that will separate the wheat from the tares?
Well, when I think about this moment, I've had the chance to visit your church a few times when I was in Baltimore for a gospel concert, and I always have an opportunity to take my mother with me on that trip. And one of the things I recognize is in terms of the infrastructure and the technology, you've had that in place to be able to reach the masses. And how, in terms of this time ministering to your congregation, how have you been able to do that with the technology, et cetera?
The technology for us allows us to keep the door open. Many people might think I'm talking about the door of New Psalmist physical building. No, I'm talking about the door of New Psalmist. This building is where we traditionally gather. We are now gathering a whole lot of different ways, and the technology provides both the key and the door through which people enter. If we hadn't done this, people might find us but not know how to enter.
Mm-hmm.
Or they might have keys, but there'd be no doors to unlock. When we put all of these things in place, we put them in place not for now, but for the emerging then.
Yes.
The emerging then has become the now. And many folk are scampering to catch up to the now because they didn't see the emerging then.
When I think about leadership, I think that in a time of crisis, you find out something about yourself. What have you discovered about yourself in this moment of crisis?
I've discovered so many things. Some part of me says, where do I start? But I've discovered a whole lot of things about myself. I've discovered that I can work myself into the grave. I have discovered that I have to learn how to work in this new reality. Because the way I did work is not conducive to the way I have to work now. Because I was guided by a different set of assumptions then. Right. And I can't bring those assumptions into this reality because it'll burn me out trying to match this to that. I've learned that I can let things go, that I can do what I can do and not have to try to do everything. I am a messenger of God, not the Messiah for God.
Yes.
I'm a messenger. I share his message. And I have to realize I'm not the Messiah. I just share the message and I share it where it desires to be heard or where a door opens of listening. There was in the early stage of this an attempt to just bang on every door. I'm not doing that now. I can walk a street and see a door and go in that door. I can go through a day and feel an opportunity and seize it. I don't feel anymore that I have to be there for everybody. I can't do that.
Yeah.
This reality cannot be the former reality. In the old reality, we had a lot of supports for that kind of stuff. People you didn't see to have a conversation with, you might see to catch a glimpse of. And catching a glimpse of them will allow you to check off in your mind that they're okay. I've seen them, I
Mhm.
saw so-and-so, people with a great line. Have you seen so-and-so? Yeah, I saw him last week. Did you get to talk to him? No, but I saw him and they looked okay. Now you don't have that opportunity. So
Yeah.
there are no check marks going down the list in your mind of people. What happens is a name will show up in your thoughts and you begin to realize, I haven't seen him, I haven't talked to him. And you feel guilty that you haven't reached out and tried to make the effort. Whereas before, you still hadn't done those things, but because of the way we were living our lives, you had glimpsed them and could place the check in your mind.
Mm.
But we can't do that anymore. But I can't live in this reality feeling guilty about not operating as I did in that reality.
Wow. Um, I want to turn to what guides you, because one of the things I pointed out, I have your book, Spiritual Navigation. Another one of your books I have is Hanging On by a Thread. And so these books have been my source of comfort and inspiration and ways to think about how to journey. What do you turn to in terms of in these moments of crisis? How do you get emboldened to move ahead in this journey?
Well, I'm grateful to God each and every day for his abiding presence and his attuning presence. God gives me tune-ups
Hmm.
when I need them, when my spark plug's on firing right, when my oil needs changing, when the transmission is slipping. Um, he knows what I need and he knows why I'm broken.
Yep.
Sometimes we want a cure without a diagnosis. And in this season, I have learned to let God give me both. Not just the cure for how I feel and but the diagnosis for why I'm there. And so this season has been a season of great revelation and healing. I'm taking medicine, but I'm taking it aware of why.
Yes.
And I know what I'm looking for to happen. That is so wonderfully marvelous for me. That in and of itself helps me get through a lot. I'm grateful to God that I don't live with a tool. I used to say when we went into this, I'm grateful that I have a toolkit that I can go in and pull out tools to help me. But I've learned through this, I'm really not operating with a toolkit. I have a tool cart. God's got so much stuff in here that I'm pulling out to use. I don't just have the little case with a handle. I'm pushing a cart
Mhm.
that every now and then I'm privileged to stop and go in and find exactly what I need that he has stocked in that cart for me.
I just have to ask you about your graphic behind you. New mindset, new result.
Results.
Can you talk a
Oh, I
little bit
really
about
believe
that?
that. I believe that. I believe so as a man thinketh, so is he. We are living in a world that is in flux.
Mhm.
Morris Chapman saying everything is changing every day. All around us, we are watching a world. We are watching the various aspects of our world collide without definitive answers. The virus nationally, fires in the West, floods in the South, tornadoes in the Midwest, an election that is running rampant, COVID cases increasing, enemies abroad, enemies at home, the rise of militia groups, um, social, a rediscovery of social marching and social protests to affect social change. All of that is happening at one time.
Yeah.
It's enough to leave one stymied and depressed. It's an equation with multiple variables that our little quadratic equation education can't solve. And so how do we solve this? How do we manage it? With a new mindset. I cannot live this moment with the same mindset I had. I must be open to new thoughts and new ideas. Cognitive dissonance, which is the clash between what you believe and what you live, cannot be resolved in either one of those camps. It can only be resolved with a new idea. Yeah. The glorious Jesus Christ, who is the wonderful Christ, who comes to witness us to the mercy and grace of God, confronts the nihilistic evil of Palestine that ultimately leads him to a cross. And on Good Friday, he dies. How do I reconcile the absolute representation of good being defeated by evil? I reconcile it with a new mindset that breaks forth on Easter Sunday morning that says he got up. Well, everybody didn't see it. Everybody's not there to report it. No, that is how I reconcile this dissonance of evil seemingly conquering good with the revelation that good wins in the end. It may not win every skirmish, but it wins in the end. So a new mindset allows us to call new results because we go into the field thinking different. We harvest the crops with a different mindset. If I go to harvest the crops thinking that every crop should be there or every ear of corn should be there, I miss the fact. And when I come out and find out that there's some gone that hasn't been taken, all of the crop is not there, I need some way of reconciling this inconceivable reality. And how do I reconcile it? The rats got their share. The crows got their share. The buzzards got their share. The foxes got their share. And this is what is left. But it is enough. It is enough. New mindset will get me altogether new results. When it relates to people, if I change my expectation of people, you know people who get upset with folk. They get worn out with loved ones and friends, and the friendships end, and this and that ends because they can't get over what somebody did. But when you change your expectations of people, their behavior doesn't bother you. Right. So I get a new result when I change the way I think. I'm not going to be mad because so-and-so didn't show up for my party. I'm not going to be upset because I didn't get invited to somebody's event or affair. No, this new mindset I have gives me new expectations and new results. I don't get mad when I don't expect people who marginally like me to act like they don't want to be around me. New mindset always gets you new results.
And it seems that new mindset is essential right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's liberating.
The world has changed. Yeah. Whether we want to, it changed without our permission. It changed the norms and it changed the roles. And it did it without our permission. The result can be we can keep trying to change it back. The result can be we fight it with all we have. Or the result can be we develop a new mindset that's equal to the new reality. And we look for new results.
Wow. Well, I'm a history teacher, and I just have a passion for hearing stories and helping people think about how to navigate through difficult times. And you have offered us so much. And I just want to end with this question. The title of my podcast is Journey in Strength. What message do you have to the listeners and viewers of this podcast about how to journey in strength in the weeks and months ahead? We're about to face an election. We're about to potentially deal with the second wave of the pandemic. How do we journey in strength for the time ahead?
First thing, strength ebbs and flows. It's not a given or a constant. It is always a variable. And there will be moments when you will feel unbelievably strong, either physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, psychically, whatever. And there'll be moments of just the exact opposite. And we must be aware of that and know where to go to rebuild our strength and know how to. For me, it is in Christ Jesus, my Lord. I rebuild in his presence. That is one of the first things we have to understand about strength. We have to understand that so as your days, so shall your strength be. That whatever the day brings, my new mindset tells me I will be equal to it. And I developed that. I learned that in the emerging then, so that I'm ready for it in the present now. So as my days, so shall my strength be. So that if I need Herculean strength, it will be provided. I've learned through this journey in strength that strength is not the end. The end is what I need strength to arrive at. Strength is a tool, and it comes in many shapes and forms. It's not always perseverance. It is not always persistence. It is not always intellectual knowledge. It is not always social acumen. Sometimes strength is the ability that God gives to hold together when all around is falling apart. And to believe with an indomitable, indefatigable belief that there is a tomorrow. Whether here or there is a tomorrow, an indefatigable belief that there is a tomorrow. Regardless of the reality of today, regardless of how gripping it is and how much I must admit it exists, it does not change this indomitable belief in the God of today and tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will open my eyes, whether it's here or there, but I will open my eyes. And strength is just the vehicle or vehicles to keep me going in my every day, awaiting my every tomorrow.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your words mean so much to me, and I think all of my listeners, I just really appreciate you actually giving us a little bit more strength for the journey. Thank you for being a part of this podcast.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. And have a good day now. And thanks to all your listeners.
Thank you so much.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.